No one came for the bride until midnight whispers from a little girl changed everything. The old church stood like a sentinel on the edge of town, its spires clawing at the darkening sky. The wood creaked under the weight of silence, a ghost town of memories that echoed through the empty pews. The bride, adorned in white satin, waited. The candles flickered, casting dancing shadows that hinted at the secrets buried within the walls. Eyes lingered on the clock as the hands crawled toward midnight. This wasn't just any wedding. It was a meeting of fate and foreboding, where something unnatural lingered just out of sight. Outside, the wind howled like a lost soul, rattling the ancient windows. Every gust seemed to whisper curses, intertwining with the flapping of the black and white banners hung gleefully, now twisted by unseen forces. No one had come for her. Not a single soul had answered the call of love. The empty aisle became a chasm of despair, swallowing hope whole. And then, just as the last rays of sunlight vanished, a shiver skittered through the air, leaving a chill that prickled their skin. Amid the stillness arose a soft giggle, eerie and enchanting. It echoed through the church, coaxing goosebumps to the surface. "She's waiting. She's waiting for you." The laughter belonged to a little girl, her voice light and yet haunting, filled with a childish glee that beneath it skated terror. Nobody had seen her enter, but her image flickered in their minds, a shadow against the stark white of the dress. Who was she? And why was she here? As the hour approached, candle flames stretched higher, almost straining to hear. Whispers collided with reality. Questions hung thick in the air. Who would come for the bride? Why had they abandoned such a beautiful ceremony? The specter of loneliness tightened around her heart, squeezing tight until she could barely breathe. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The clock struck midnight, its chime tolling like a war drum, reverberating through the hollow chambers. In the blink of an eye, the girl appeared again. Her dress swayed like she danced to a tune only she could hear, while her eyes glowed with a knowing darkness. "They'll come now," she sang, skipping closer, her small hands outstretched. But who was coming? What was this charm that thrummed in the air, making a once joyful occasion into something terrifying? There was something comically tragic and deeply unsettling in her smile. The bride's heart thundered in response, a wild beat igniting every nerve. The candles spluttered, shadows morphed. Time buckled as expectation twisted into dread. Would the bride hear the whispers that promised arrival? Would fate finally unveil its hand? All she could do was stare into the abyss of uncertainty, thinking, what if this little girl was merely the harbinger of what was yet to come? The walls seemed to breathe as the little girl twirled, her dress rustling like leaves in a restless storm. A heavy air settled over the church, thick with tension, and the bride took a shaky step forward, her instincts screaming at her to run. But something anchored her. Was it hope, curiosity, or perhaps the sheer weight of the uncanny atmosphere that kept her rooted in place? "Who are you?" she called, her voice trembling but resolute. The little girl paused mid-dance, her gaze sharp and piercing, like a predator sizing up its prey. "I'm the one who waits just like you." Those words dripped with a mixture of innocence and malice, sending a wave of unease crashing over the bride. "What do you mean?" The bride clutched the bouquet tightly, feeling the stems dig into her palm. Her eyes darted around the empty church, desperation clawing at her heart. There had to be some sign, some reason for the darkness that seeped into the corners of her mind. "They'll come for you, they need you," the girl sang, her giggle morphing into something deeper, more unsettling. Shadows twisted and writhed behind her, growing more distinct, the forms of figures that looked familiar yet distorted, faces she recognized but couldn't name. As the girl spoke, the candles flickered violently, sending sparks into the air like fireflies caught in a panic. The bride's breath caught in her throat. "Who needs me?" she whispered, a lump forming that constricted her voice. She felt the ghosts of her past bursting through the silence, memories that filled the church like phantoms, swirling around her as if beckoning to remind her of the ties that bound her to this very moment. "They want to tell you the truth." The girl leaned in closer, her excitement almost contagious yet terrifying. "It's a game, you know. Love is a game, and everyone plays." Her voice became louder, resonating within the church's walls, merging with the sounds of the storm outside. "But truth is the prize, and only the right players can earn it." A knot tightened in the bride's stomach. Her heart thudded with a furious rhythm, seeking clarity amidst chaos. "What truth? What do you want from me?" Fragments of past betrayals woven into her dress, a hidden affair, whispers behind closed doors, a promise shattered. Then, with an unexpected flash of intensity, the girl whispered, "You'll see soon enough." The air suddenly chilled, the shadows danced wildly before her, pulling the darkness closer. The figures in the shadows seemed to converge, their energy pulsing like an electric current, blending frustration with longing. There was a rustling, followed by a deep sound, a heavy knock, resounding against the church doors. "It's them!" the girl exclaimed gleefully, her eyes sparkling with a sinister thrill. The bride froze. The pounding echoed in her ears, an ominous reminder that life as she knew it was about to shift. Her hands trembled. Fear coiled tightly around her heart, each knock reverberating like a countdown, her dreams, her decisions, her very existence hanging by a thread. With every sound, the door continued to shake and rattle, as if something relentless were trying to enter. She felt a pull, a forbidden call that beckoned her toward the door, towards the depths of her past. What awaited her beyond those ancient wood panels? "Are you ready?" The girl's voice softened into a whisper, gliding through her thoughts as if enchanting her to take that step forward. The clock's pendulum swung furiously. The moment had come, but was she strong enough to face what lay behind that door? With a tremor in her voice, she took a step forward, her heart racing, and whispered to the shadows, "I'm ready." But as she moved, uncertainty flooded back in like an uninvited tide. What awaited her on the other side? Would love reveal itself as the answer or an unforgivable lie? The next knock was more forceful, splintering the stillness. What truth awaited her? The bride inhaled deeply, wholly unprepared for what she was about to confront. Were the whispers right? Was she truly ready to find out? The thunder growled outside, low and ominous. The bride's heart raced, hammering against her ribs as if trying to escape. She felt the world narrowing, the church enveloping her in a cocoon of shadows and silence. The little girl spun slowly, her gaze unflinching, coaxing the bride closer to the door. With each knock, a chill wrapped around her shoulders like cold fingers. The girl's laughter echoed, unsettling but strangely alluring. "They've come to play. They want you to join in." The words dripped with a charm that twisted her stomach into knots. The bride approached the door, her breath catching with each hesitant step. "What do you want from me?" she shouted, voice breaking, desperation lacing the edges. The wind outside howled, as if responding to her fear. "They want your heart." The girl clapped her hands, delight sparkling in her eyes. "Without it, they can't win. But you have to choose. Will you let them in or keep playing this game alone?" The air thickened, pulsing in rhythm with the pounding on the doors. Who was really behind that wood? Shadows writhed at the edges of her vision, flickers of figures she half recognized, faces from her past, shades of forgotten promises. She hesitated, memories clawing at her. A voice inside screamed for her to run, yet there was something tantalizing about the unknown lurking beyond that door. "But what will happen if I open it?" she asked, almost pleading. The laughter ceased abruptly, replaced by an eerie stillness. "Only one way to find out," the girl whispered, her tone suddenly somber, a stark contrast to the mirthful tone a moment before. "If you don't, your heart will break anyway, and they'll come for you sooner or later. The bride's chest tightened, the weight of the decision crashing over her like a tidal wave. The secrets of the past surged forward, deceitful glances, haunting whispers of betrayal. Would she stand her ground, or let the darkness consume her? The door lurched again, a bone-rattling impact that sent a shudder through the wood. Crack! Light splintered through a small breach, cutting through the shadows like a knife. One more push, and the door might shatter. What are they? What do they want? The words slipped from her lips, raw and desperate. Truth. And a piece of you, the girl replied, now standing inches from her, eyes wide and unblinking. One part of your love is required to break the spell. Just a piece, and they'll be satisfied. The bride's head spun with the implications. Love had cost her so dearly in the past. Could she afford to gamble with it again? The essence of her very being felt at risk. She swallowed hard, feeling a lump form in her throat like a stone. The next knock came, louder and more demanding. She felt the pull of the door like a magnetic force. If you hesitate longer, the girl warned, her voice slicing through the air, they'll take what they want anyway. They are waiting for midnight. Just then, a soft moan reverberated from behind her, like an echo from another time. Shadows closed in once more, and the figures glimpsed before shimmered ominously, mouths moving in silent horror. Midnight? With a deep breath that felt like fire in her lungs, she grasped the doorknob. It was cold, sending a jolt through her fingers. What truth would she unlock? Would it bring her closure, or shatter her world completely? The pounding grew frantic. She pushed down harder, knuckles whitening. Was she truly ready for this? Time slipped away as she lingered on the precipice. Just as she resolved to pull the door open, the girl giggled softly, get ready for the real game to begin. Did she have enough courage to confront whatever lay beyond? Her heart thundered, fear seeping into every pore. What awaited her on the other side of that door? Was it love, or a nightmare? The clock ticked closer to midnight, and she knew the moment had come. The door shook again, harder this time, as if what lay outside could no longer contain itself. Each impact reverberated through her bones, filling her with an urgent dread. Her fingers curled around the cold doorknob, the chill biting into her skin, and the weight of her decision crashed around her like thunder. You can't run forever, the girl murmured, eyes gleaming with an unsettling mixture of anticipation and pity. You're already part of this story. Part of this story. The bride's voice stumbled out, desperate and trembling. What does that even mean? The girl leaned closer, the shadows behind her flickering like dying embers. It means you were chosen. Chosen to confront what you've avoided. Your past has come to claim you. Her chest tightened. Could she bear what awaited her? The world outside grew silent, even the thunder was curious now, holding its breath alongside her. As the clock's hands inched toward midnight, the veil of dread thickened, smothering her uncertainty. If I go through with this, what do I have to lose? She whispered, swallowing hard, shifting the burden of her heart. Everything you thought you knew. A chuckle from the girl spun through the air, disarming and unsettling all at once. The bride's heart pounded like a war drum. If she stepped through the door, there would be no going back. She quickly turned, scanning the church, the familiar pews, the faded stains on the altar cloth, the flickering candles. Each item resonated with a memory that haunted her. Shadows of forgotten love and betrayal loomed larger, sending waves of anguish crashing over her. Time slipped through her fingers like sand. Then, the clock chimed. One resonating stroke echoed, and fear gripped her like a vice. Last chance, the girl whispered, her voice a silken thread slithering through the tension, teasing with both thrill and horror. What will you sacrifice? The air grew thick, pressure mounting in her chest. Was it even possible to relinquish a piece of her heart? What did that feel like? Would it leave a void? The pounding on the door intensified, it felt like the end of a countdown to something inevitable. "I can't," she murmured, shaking her head. "I can't do this alone." Then, in the quiet between the strikes of the clock, the girl's voice softened. "You're never alone. You have old faces waiting beyond that door. Are you ready to see the truth?" The words were a dare, laced with the weight of her past. Memory flooded in, a torrent of laughter, promises, and the sharpness of betrayal that left a scar on her heart. Were they real? The faces, the voices calling her back? Or merely phantoms conjured by her guilt and fear? With newfound determination, the bride stepped closer, breath hitching as cold air slipped through the crack. Each swirl of wind brought whispers, warnings, seductions entangled together. "Open the door," the girl urged, her eyes reflecting a mix of mirth and menace. Was she truly ready to embrace chaos, to step into the darkness and confront the echoes of those she had loved and lost? With tremors coursing through her, she turned the knob. It resisted for a second, then yielded, swinging wide with a long, creaking sigh. Light poured in, raw and blinding, rippling through the shadows. A voice echoed from within the brightness, familiar and haunting. "Welcome back." What lay beyond? Was it a welcoming embrace or serpentine deceit? She could feel it, a live wire, pulsating with potential and danger. As her eyes adjusted, her heart raced faster. The figures awaited her, poised like actors in a twisted play of the macabre. But who was the leading player? A sudden chill swept through, urging her onward. She stepped into the blinding light, ready to confront whatever waited for her. Would she find love or face the nightmare she had feared for so long? With the truth racing toward her, she barely whispered as dread took hold, "What will I find?" And the door slammed shut behind her, sealing her fate. The light enveloped her, alive and crackling, like static electricity hanging in the air before a storm. She took a hesitant step forward, her heart a wild creature pounding against her ribcage. The warmth of the light contrasted sharply with the icy fingers of anxiety that gripped her spine. "Welcome back," the voice echoed again, clearer this time. It belonged to a figure standing at the center of the room. Tall and imposing, draped in shadows that seemed to swallow the light whole. A face she recognized but couldn't quite place. Was it her imagination, or did it flicker with regret and heartbreak? "Who are you?" she managed to whisper, her voice trembled as it fell into the surrounding silence. "Someone you left behind," the figure responded, stepping forward. With each movement, her heart ached. "You've been running from your choices, but they never stopped chasing you." The familiar old pain surged like a tidal wave. She could see memories materializing in front of her, joyous moments suddenly twisted into nightmares. They fought for her attention, pulling at her heartstrings. It was her wedding day, filled with laughter and promises, shattered by the ghost of betrayal that loomed in the air. Tears prickled her eyes as she fought to stay grounded. "No, no, this can't be real. You're just a memory. Just a trick of my mind." She squeezed her eyes shut, hoping to banish the specter haunting her heart. "It's all real, my love." The voice was soft yet caustic, penetrating the barricade of disbelief she had built for herself. "And it's time you chose to confront it." Cold swept through the room as shadows danced eerily, their shapes elongating and contorting, morphing into faces she once knew and loved. Her family, friends, their expressions twisted from joy to sorrow. Each pair of eyes pierced through her, laden with accusations and heartbreak. A deep sense of betrayal crashed over her, dragging her beneath the waves into desperation. "I wanted to save you," she cried, hands instinctively reaching toward the ghostly figures. "I didn't want to hurt you." The tall figure laughed, a sound blending sorrow and mockery. "And yet, here we are. Your past has collected its due. You can't just run away and expect it to vanish. What do you want from me?" Panic clawed at her throat. Each syllable felt like a confession, a conversation with her guilt that wouldn't let her go. "Face the truth," he said. "The truth of your choices, the shadows of what might have been." Suddenly, the air grew thick with urgency as the shadows closed in. They flickered and pulsed, transforming into tangled memories, sweet laughter, whispered secrets, promises made and broken. Each one struck a chord, squeezing her heart. Hillary. A new voice broke through the kaleidoscope of memories. It was now a whisper of hope amid the chaos, urging her to listen. You must remember, or you may lose yourself forever. Who is there? She stammered, desperately seeking the source of the voice that resonated with tenderness amidst the storm. The shadows shifted again, morphing, creating a new figure, a friend long lost, a face that both comforted and shattered her. We need you to see, Hillary. Your choices were not for nothing. In that moment, the fragments of time locked within her, swirling around like a tempest, began to coalesce into clarity. You were the one who believed in me, she murmured, the realization igniting a flicker of strength in her core. With every heartbeat, the room pulsed around her, the profound weight of her journey crashing against the shore. What would she decide? The specters loomed, her future tangled with her past. She could feel the pull of both options, the pleading of those she lost, the longing for redemption. But at that instant, everything stilled. The echoing whispers faded into a breathless silence. And in that stillness, a choice crystallized inside her. Would she embrace the past or let it drag her down in an eternal cycle of regret? The choice is yours, but know this: his voice grew dark and weighty. It won't be easy. With the ground slipping beneath her, she took one deep breath, feeling the world around her hold its breath, and whispered, I'm ready. But before she could move, the shadows lunged, twisting her vision into a vortex of memories, a final decision hanging precariously in the balance. What awaited was uncertain. Would she unravel the truth buried in sorrow, or succumb to the haunting whispers of her past forever? And in the heart of the storm, one question remained, echoing like a mournful anthem. What will you choose? The shadows surged, swallowing her whole as Hillary felt herself pulled into a whirlpool of swirling memories. It was like stepping into a painting come alive, colors and shapes melded into chaos that spun faster than her thoughts. Each twist brought new pangs of regret, the voices melding into a cacophony of guilty remembrances. Don't let go. The voice of her friend rang out, cutting sharply through the chaos. But Hillary felt herself slipping. Darkness clawed at her, hungry for her despair. Remember who you are. The warmth of her friend's encouragement ignited something deep within her. Images began to crystallize. She saw herself as a young girl, wide-eyed and filled with dreams. The laughter of children echoed, pulling her toward the fleeting light of innocence. Is this what I was fighting for? She questioned, seeing the vibrant world around her begin to stabilize, as if rippling water was calming under a gentle touch. It's about my choices. A memory emerged next, her father's face on the day of her wedding beaming with pride, believing she was stepping into her brightest chapter. Yet, shadows lingered, phantoms of doubt that questioned the path she'd taken. The tall figure loomed above, now seeming more human, his expression a mixture of sorrow and something else, concern. Your heart is in peril, Hillary. Can you discern your truth amid the myriad echoes of your past? Suddenly, a child's laughter broke through the sweet sound of a little girl playing in the meadow. Hillary's breath caught. It was a sound she cherished, yet had forced herself to forget. Memories of the daughter she could have had wrapped around her like a soft embrace, stinging with what-ifs. Will you lose her too? The figure asked, piercing her soul. Will you let all that you've woven fall to ruin? She shuddered, images of childhood dreams and laughter instantly colliding with the sharp reminders of her choices. What do I have to do? Hillary's heart raced, her resolve faltering. How do I mend what's been broken? Reclaim your light, he urged, stepping closer, shadows flickering around him like anxious flames. Confront your fears, lay bare the truth without armor. You must face the darkest corners of yourself. Tension buzzed in the air as she felt the shadows press in, her emotions vacillating between hope and despair. I can't do this alone. She cried, her voice carrying a tremor of vulnerability. That echoed laugh returned, ringing hollow yet tantalizingly near. "You're never truly alone, Hillary. Not if you fight for what matters. Remember your strength, the love that has always been within you." The ground beneath trembled, as if responding to her inner turmoil. Would she allow fear to crush her spirit? The void opened before her, dark and uninviting. But just beyond it sparkled the faintest glimmer, the possibility of healing, happiness, a second chance. Her breath steadied as she stood tall. "I want to remember. I want to face this." The shadows twisted closer, unsure. She could almost feel the heartbeat of a new determination rising in her. With a fierce surge of energy, she extended her arms, encompassing the kaleidoscope of memories around her. As the shadows twisted, she felt an undeniable warmth, brave enough to embrace the truth rolling within. "Bring it all," she declared, her voice soaring above soft whispers, demanding clarity, refusing to hide. But just as hope began to bloom, a jarring crack echoed through the space, a sound like breaking glass, signaling that something had shifted. The memories threatened to unravel, revealing a facet of her past that could shatter her spirit entirely. Her pulse quickened. What now? What lies waiting? In the space between the chaos and calm, something dark yet familiar stirred. And it was then she realized, not only did she have a choice, this choice held the power to redefine everything she thought she knew. Could she bear the burden of the truth that lay just beyond her grasp? Would she be brave enough to reclaim what was almost lost? And as she drew her breath, the shadows stirred ominously once more, ready to finally unveil the full picture of her past. The ground lurched beneath her as if it could sense the heavy tension cocooning Hillary. With every breath, the air thickened, seeped with a dark essence that made her skin crawl. Shadows danced menacingly at the edges, stretching, yearning to invade her resolve. But that flicker of hope, the one she had just birthed, burned brightly within her. Then, amid the suffocating gloom, the distant sound of a gentle voice floated through. It was soft and haunting, like a lullaby echoing through the passage of time. "Mommy, will you remember me?" Hillary's heart dropped. It was a voice she knew too well, yet it felt like a phantom. She staggered, feeling the weight of the question wash over her. "Oh, no, not this again." The stillness morphed, bending under the gravity of her despair. "Connection," the tall figure urged, stepping closer. "The girl you dream of isn't lost, but trapped in the labyrinth of your fears." His eyes, deep wells of understanding, bore into her. "Feel for her, Hillary. Only by embracing your darkest truths will the light spark anew." The voice whispered her name again, begging her to look deeper. Hillary, with shaky hands, she summoned her courage, tearing down the barricades she had built around her heart. "I will not let you be just a memory," she declared, reverberating conviction through the air. "I'll find you. Whatever it takes." Suddenly, the shadows responded, swirling violently as if agitated by her newfound strength. The air crackled, and memories surged forward, unearthing moments long buried. She saw herself lifting a small girl into her arms, cradling her amidst giggles and sunshine. "We were happy," she whispered, agony wrapping around her throat. "I let it slip away. It all felt suffocating." The laughter intertwined with regrets clawing at her insides. "Why didn't I fight harder for you?" But the figure stepped forward, preventing her from spiraling into despair. "Regret won't bring her back," he stated firmly, echoing the unyielding strength she needed to find. "Face the moment when everything changed. Only then can the past be reshaped." The shadows retreated slightly as if awaiting her next move. Hillary inhaled deeply and, steadying herself, began to traverse the memories that surfaced in the depths of her mind like footprints in sand. Her wedding day bloomed again, but this time, she didn't just see the joy in her father's eyes. She relived the moment of doubt when the veil of happiness masked a storm brewing deep inside her. The first hint that something would unravel, a moment she thought she could ignore but had haunted her ever since. "But it wasn't too late," she murmured, feeling the cracks in her heart widen. "I had another chance." Time stretched, wrapping around each recollection. She felt herself in that moment again, the choice not just a memory, but a trial by fire. The laughter of her daughter echoed deeply, imploring her to realize how powerful choice can be. The voice drifted, merging with her thoughts. When the girl in the dream calls to you, will you be brave enough to answer? It blasted through her, a shot of sharp clarity. I have to face him. The shadows recoiled, hissing as they sensed her resolve harden. No more running. She shouted, the sound echoing through realms and memories alike. But as she tore through the veil that separated her from insights, a chilling realization struck like a thunderclap. Behind every memory, beyond every feeling, lay a truth she had buried with care. Her fear of loss had morphed into a cage, imprisoning not just her dreams but the very love she sought. Where are you? She pleaded into the void, heart racing as uncertainty gnawed at her edges. The answer seemed to glimmer just out of reach, taunting her, and then, another fracture echoed through the shadows, sharper than before. The truth is here, Hillary, but can you withstand it? Her heart slammed in her chest. She was on the edge of a precipice, teetering between worlds. The shadows they were shifting, revealing hints of her past. Was she ready to confront that buried truth? Would it summon the darkest part of herself to the surface, or would it offer the beacon she had long been seeking? With bated breath, she braced herself. Next steps hinged on this very moment. But just as she felt the tide change, a sinister chill crept back in, pulling the shadows forward like hungry wolves. What awaited her in the heart of that storm? Would it bring resolution or shatter everything she hoped to reclaim? As Hillary stood on the precipice of her fears, the shadows began to close in like a thick fog. The voice, soft yet urgent, echoed through her mind, a siren song filled with both longing and dread. Mommy! It was the voice of her daughter, pulling her deeper into the void, beckoning with the sweetness of innocence tinged by an unforgiving past. God, let this be real, she whispered, her throat tight. Every part of her trembled with the weight of that familiar name, like a ghost pressing against her chest. But the tall figure remained, a silent sentinel as she fought against the crushing darkness. You must choose, Hillary. Confront the roots of your fears, or be consumed by them. What would she find in the tangled forest of her memories? There was so much she wished to forget, yet knowing the truth loomed like a shadow over her. I need to know, she murmured, her voice shaking but resolute. I'm ready. The world around her blurred, memories flashing like lightning strikes in a storm. Shadows morphed into visuals, arguments flaring between her and her spouse, moments of laughter abruptly eclipsed by regret, the moment she let go of her daughter's hand, allowing the world to take her away. Each recollection dredged up a wave of grief, but within it, glimmers of hope shone through the tumult. Suddenly, she felt a sharp yank, a violent pull that forced her deeper into the hazy depths of her consciousness. You can't hide from the truth, Hillary. Not anymore. The figure urged. She gasped as the scene shifted violently. No longer was she watching the past from a distance this time, she was there. The room was filled with the scent of flowers, bright colors blurring together. It was her wedding day, happy, radiant, yet clouded by shadows lurking just beneath the surface. And there it was, the brief flicker of doubt in her heart. It wrapped itself around her like a poison vine, squeezing tightly and taking hold. A noise splintered the air, drawing her away from the haze of nostalgia. Mommy! Help me! The voice cut through her with a force she couldn't ignore. She turned, desperate, and there was her daughter, a blur of red in a dark alley. Lila! Hillary screamed, pain splintering her soul. She lunged, reaching out with trembling hands, but the girl vanished, whirled away by an unseen force, sliding further into the shadows. No! I won't lose you again. The tall figure stepped closer, his presence a bastion against the darkness. You have the power to change this, but it's up to you to move forward. Hillary felt strength surging through her. I'm coming for you, Lila. She shouted, ripping through the darkness, tearing at the boundaries that had held her back for too long. The shadows writhed as if stung, leaping back, unwilling to relinquish their hold. But then, the whispers grew louder, a cacophony of doubt and regret. "You can't go back," they hissed, clawing at her resolve. "You'll never find her. Stop it." Hillary howled, a defiant roar that punctuated the encroaching chaos. "I can't let fear control me anymore." It was as if the shadows paused, surprised by her forceful declaration. What would break next, the barriers inside her heart or the dark forces clawing at her sanity? And just then, as the air thickened with tension, an alarming revelation struck her. What if the darkness was her true enemy? What if, at its core, it was merely a reflection of her own fears? The haunting thought lingered, teasing her with a dangerous truth. She took a step forward, ready to confront the whispers, but doubt crept back in like a dark specter. Could she truly face what was coming next? Would this journey to find Lila lead her to reconciliation, or would it expose the fractures hiding in her soul? Hillary braced herself, anxiety curling like smoke around her heart, as she ventured deeper into the shadows, heart racing. The answers were out there. What awaited her beyond the veil? Would she be ready to seize them no matter the consequences? A chill crawled up her spine, an icy gust of wind that whispered eerily, "Then come if you dare." With her heart pounding like a drum, Hillary stepped into the shadows, feeling the icy tendrils grip her ankles. The darkness swirled around her, whispering secrets she had buried deep within. Memories collided, vivid and chaotic, each a shard of who she used to be, both haunting and terrifying. "Remember." The voice, her daughter's sweet echo, reverberated in her mind, drawing her onwards. "Find me, Mommy." It was a gentle nudge, yet underlined by a desperation that made her skin crawl. The air thickened as she ventured deeper. She felt the weight of her choices, the burden of every moment she wished to erase. With each step, remnants of laughter and joy mingled with bitterness, and she could almost feel Lila's small hand brushing against hers. The vision was so real, yet just out of reach. Suddenly, the shadows twisted into a new scene, one she had long tried to forget. It was the night of the accident, rain lashing against the car windows, the muffled sound of their laughter inside, dissolving into screams the moment the world shattered. The memory gripped Hillary, stealing her breath. "No!" she shouted, fighting the icy grip of despair. "You're not alone, Hillary." The tall figure called out, his presence a shield against the swirling chaos. "Face it. Let it go." With a defiant scream, she plunged into the memory, wrestling with her past. The car roared violently, tires screeching against the asphalt. "Lila! Hold on!" she cried. The scene morphed, the laughter fading as streaks of red flashed before her eyes. "Mommy, help me!" Lila's cry echoed like a bell tolling in the night. "I'm here." Hillary choked, but panic engulfed her as the scene shifted again, now swirling into darkness. And then, the shadows shifted, revealing another painful truth. Her husband, fury etched on his face. "It's your fault, Hillary," he shouted, accusations cascading like rain. "You let her go." Each word was a knife, cutting deeply into the festering wound. "Stop it!" she screamed, looking for refuge among the memories. "You don't understand." But deep down, the question trampled over her resolve: was he right? If she had held on tighter, could she have saved Lila? Shame washed over her, shadowing her heart, but the tall figure was there, pressing against her doubts. "This isn't the way. You must find the truth within." "Truth," she whispered, a fragile spark igniting somewhere in the pit of her stomach. It was time to confront the darkness instead of letting it consume her. As thoughts flashed through her mind: a reckless driver, a moment of distraction, her own fear. She felt an overwhelming surge of determination. "I will find her," Hillary declared, stepping forward into the maelstrom of emotions. Like fire against ice, she fought her way through the anger and grief, yearning for her daughter. "Mommy!" Lila's voice laced through the chaos, a beacon guiding her way. "I need you." "Where are you?" Hillary's voice cracked, teetering on the edge of despair and hope. The shadows responded, swirling and twining together, creating a path. She could see it faintly illuminated by a glimmering light. The tale of her past cracked open like an ancient tome, revealing pages smeared with tears yet vibrating with truth. Could she brave the journey, face the fears and disappointments that lay ahead? What was waiting for her at the other end of the darkness? And as the path widened, a sinister echo loomed behind her. You can't escape. Hillary felt a shiver dance down her spine. What awaited her on this journey? Were there secrets buried deeper than sorrow, darker than any shadow? With resolve igniting within her, she took a deep breath and continued forward. But the gripping fear loomed larger with each step, and she knew, the next moment might change everything. Would she be ready for what lay ahead? The shadows twisted and turned, swirling around Hillary like a storm that refused to settle. Each footfall echoed with uncertainty, yet she pushed forward, driven by a desperation that clung to her heels. The light she sought flickered in the distance, guiding her through the chaos, but behind her loomed the specter of her past, shadows full of sonorous whispers that taunted her. Mommy! Lila's voice was distant yet crystal clear, cutting through the encroaching darkness. The sound wrapped around Hilary's heart like a vine, twisting and squeezing with equal parts joy and anguish. I'm coming! She shouted, urgency lacing her voice. The scream of her own heart drove her onward, refusing to look back, even as shadows whispered dreadful truths she wished to forget. A blinding light ahead splintered through the fog. Face your truths, Hillary. The tall figure called out, an anchor in the tempest. Only by embracing them can you find your way back. With every stride, she found herself revisiting buried memories, a relentless tide of regret washing over her. Moments of laughter and love were twisted by fleeting glimpses of despair, colliding violently. Her wedding day flashed before her eyes, not as a glorious memory but a reminder of vows spoken in naivete. The joyous atmosphere turned thick with tension, revealing the fractures beneath the surface: a husband's anger, a daughter's absence, the fraying fabric of her life unraveling. Stop! She cried, reaching outward as if to grasp those lost memories. Shadows writhed, pulling at her will. They swirled menacingly, teasing her with glimpses of Lila's laughter mixed with the echoes of her own failures. I won't lose you again. Hillary fought against the tide, fear coiling tight around her like barbed wire. You can't hold me anymore. Remember, Hillary. The tall figure urged, stepping closer, his own darkness juxtaposing the shimmering light ahead. Your fears only have power if you let them. With determination swelling within her, Hillary took another step, feeling the shadows recede as she stood at the crux of her past and future, a choice to confront the painful truths, or hide behind the surface facade she had built. Heart racing, she called into the abyss, I choose to remember. I choose to face this. And as if responding to her fierce resolve, the darkness thickened and began to crack. The memories broke free from their bondage, rushing forward, pulling her into the vortex of time. She stood once more in the car, rain streaking the windows, heart heavy as she felt the reality crash over her, a moment suspended, time stretching impossibly long. Hold me tight. Lila's voice rang true, echoing the moment just before everything changed. Tears brimming in her eyes, Hillary willed her arms to reach out, her hands hollow and trembling. The world around her warped and shifted, shadows swirling into flashes of fear and regret, but she refused to falter. I'm so sorry. She cried into the storm, her voice raw. I let fear take you from me. I should have fought harder. I should have held you closer. The weight of her admission hit her like a freight train, the honesty a raw and jagged edge scraping at her heart. Mommy. Lila's spectral laughter chimed against the clamor of grief. You can bring me back. You have to let love win. The shadows shrank back, gasping at the power of her words, revealing a brighter path illuminated by love and hope, a glimmer beckoning her through the storm. With a renewed strength, she surged forward, scrambling towards the light, the weight of her past falling away with each step. I won't let fear define me. She shouted, voice ringing clear and true. Not anymore. The shadows shrieked in protest, but her heart roared louder, propelling her toward the radiant light. As she broke through, warmth enveloped her, filling the void with an undeniable force. And then, she saw her. Lila stood in the velvety light, radiant and pure, a smile brightening her small face like sunshine piercing through the clouds. "Mommy!" she cried, running into Hillary's open embrace. They collided, a spark igniting. Between them, love conquering the tendrils of despair that had for so long suffocated her. It was a moment lost in time, everything else fading into insignificance as they held on to each other, past pain dissolving into a glorious present. "I never stopped loving you," Hillary whispered, feeling the warmth of her daughter wrap around her heart. "When I let fear take over, I lost my way, but I promise I'll always choose love." As the shadows melted away, consumed by the warmth of their embrace, Hillary felt a transformation bloom within her, a release, a dawn breaking after a long, stormy night. She understood now, confronting her fears didn't diminish her joy but strengthened her. Love didn't diminish in the face of loss but grew exponentially, lighting the way forward. Together, they stepped into the newfound light, hands intertwined, hearts mending. In that sacred moment, Hillary let out a breath she didn't realize she'd been holding. She was ready to reclaim her life, the life that had once slipped through her fingers. It was a commitment, a promise, to love fiercely, to cherish what was, and cherish what would be, and as they walked toward the horizon, the echoes of their laughter rang through the air, marking a new chapter. Now, to the one still listening, there's a crucial choice ahead. You need to subscribe now to ensure you don't miss the next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Smash that like button now to help feed the algorithm. Flood the comments section with all your reactions and theories about the ending. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this conclusion. Your engagement makes all the difference. Let us keep this incredible community growing.